The decade between 30 AD and 40 AD began with an event that would eventually influence billions of people across the world. At the time, however, almost nobody realized its future significance. While emperors ruled vast territories and armies guarded distant frontiers, a small movement that had emerged in the eastern provinces of the Roman Empire was beginning to attract attention. The mystery was simple yet powerful. Who was Jesus of Nazareth, and why did stories about him continue spreading even after his death? In 30 AD, the Roman Empire remained the dominant power of the Mediterranean world. Emperor Tiberius still sat on the imperial throne, governing a realm that stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the Middle East. Roman roads connected provinces, trade flowed across seas and deserts, and millions of people lived under Roman authority. To many observers, Rome appeared stronger than ever. Yet far from Rome, in the province of Judea, events were unfolding that would become one of history's most debated mysteries. Reports about Jesus of Nazareth had already spread among local communities. His teachings attracted followers, while his execution under Roman authority became a subject of intense discussion. For supporters, his story did not end with his death. Instead, claims began circulating that he had risen from the dead. These reports quickly became one of the most controversial mysteries of the ancient world. Whether people believed these claims or rejected them, the discussions could not be ignored. Small groups of followers started sharing the story throughout different regions. At first, Roman authorities viewed these developments as local religious matters. Few could imagine how influential these ideas would become in future centuries. Meanwhile, political life in Rome continued. Emperor Tiberius became increasingly withdrawn from public affairs. Many responsibilities fell to powerful officials and advisors who exercised significant influence within the government. Among them, one figure rose rapidly in power, Sejanus. As commander of the Praetorian Guard, the elite force responsible for protecting the emperor, Sejanus became one of the most powerful men in Rome. For several years, Sejanus appeared unstoppable. He gained influence in politics, built alliances, and positioned himself close to the center of power. Many observers believed he might eventually become the empire's most important political figure after Tiberius himself. Yet, behind the scenes, suspicion and rivalry were growing. While Rome dealt with political intrigue, international trade continued expanding. Alexandria remained one of the greatest cities in the world. Merchants arrived from Africa, Arabia, and Asia carrying luxury goods, spices, precious stones, and rare materials. Egyptian grain continued feeding millions of people across the empire. In the East, the Han Dynasty of China remained one of the world's most advanced civilizations. Chinese silk continued traveling westward through trade networks connecting distant regions. Although Romans and Chinese rarely met directly, their economies were linked through merchants who carried goods across Central Asia. Technology during this period advanced steadily. Roman engineers maintained roads, bridges, and aqueducts that supported cities and military operations. Shipbuilding techniques improved commercial transportation across the Mediterranean. These developments helped strengthen economic connections between regions. Yet, despite all these achievements, one mystery continued attracting attention in Judea and neighboring provinces. Stories about Jesus and claims regarding his resurrection continued spreading among followers. Some considered these stories miraculous. Others considered them impossible. Regardless of opinion, they generated curiosity, debate, and discussion throughout parts of the Roman world. At the same time, another mystery was developing in Rome itself. Sejanus's growing power raised questions among senators and political observers. Was he simply serving the emperor, or was he pursuing ambitions of his own? As his influence increased, rumors multiplied. By the middle of the decade, two different mysteries were shaping discussions across the empire. In the East, People debated the story of Jesus and the claims made by his followers. In Rome, politicians quietly wondered how much power Sejanus truly possessed and what his ultimate goals might be. Neither mystery had yet reached its conclusion. And as the years moved forward, both would lead to dramatic consequences that would leave a lasting mark on history. As the decade progressed, the Roman Empire appeared stable from the outside, but beneath the surface powerful struggles were unfolding. The mystery surrounding Jesus of Nazareth continued spreading through small communities in Judea and neighboring regions. His followers claimed that his death had not been the end of his story. They traveled from town to town sharing their beliefs, attracting supporters and critics alike. At this stage, these communities remained relatively small, and few Roman officials considered them a major concern. Yet the movement continued growing quietly, laying foundations that would eventually influence much of the world. Meanwhile, in Rome, the political mystery surrounding Sejanus was approaching its climax. For years, Sejanus had gained influence within the government and strengthened his position as commander of the Praetorian Guard. Many senators feared him, while others supported him. Rumors spread that he wanted even greater authority and might be planning to place himself closer to the imperial throne. Because Emperor Tiberius had become increasingly distant from daily politics, Sejanus appeared to be one of the most powerful individuals in the empire. As his influence expanded, suspicion also increased. Political rivals accused him of eliminating opponents and manipulating important decisions. The exact truth remains debated by historians, but ancient accounts describe an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. People wondered whether Sejanus was a loyal servant of the emperor or a man secretly pursuing power for himself. This uncertainty became one of the greatest political mysteries of the decade. Everything changed in 31 AD. In a dramatic and unexpected turn of events, Tiberius acted against Sejanus. Messages were sent to the Senate, accusations were made, and within a short period, the once powerful official was arrested and executed. The fall of Sejanus shocked Rome. A man who had seemed almost untouchable suddenly lost everything. His supporters were removed, investigations followed, and political tension spread throughout the empire. Even today, historians continue debating how much of the conspiracy stories were true and how much resulted from political rivalry. The downfall of Sejanus became one of the most dramatic events of the decade because it revealed how dangerous Roman politics could be. Power, influence, and ambition often created enemies, and even the most powerful figures could fall unexpectedly. The mystery surrounding his true intentions has never been fully solved. Was he planning to seize greater control, or was he simply the victim of political suspicion? The historical record leaves room for debate. While Rome dealt with political intrigue, the wider world continued evolving. Alexandria remained one of the most important cities on Earth, connecting Africa, Asia, and Europe through trade. Ships filled its harbors carrying grain, luxury goods, and valuable resources. Rome depended heavily on these trade networks, which supplied cities and supported economic growth throughout the empire. In the east, the Han dynasty of China continued governing a vast population. Chinese officials maintained administrative order across enormous territories, while trade routes carried silk and other luxury goods westward. These connections linked distant civilizations economically, even though direct contact remained rare. The Silk Road became increasingly important as merchants moved products across deserts, mountains, and foreign kingdoms. Technology during this period focused on improving existing systems rather than introducing revolutionary inventions. Roman engineers continued maintaining roads, aqueducts, bridges, and ports. These projects allowed armies to move efficiently and supported commercial activity throughout the empire. In China, improvements in administration, agriculture, and infrastructure helped maintain stability and economic productivity. Such developments may have seemed ordinary at the time, but they strengthened the foundations of some of history's greatest civilizations. As the decade approached its end, two mysteries defined much of its historical identity. One centered on the growing movement inspired by Jesus of Nazareth and the extraordinary claims made by his followers. The other centered on Sejanus, whose rise and sudden fall became one of Rome's most dramatic political stories. Both mysteries generated debate, speculation, and discussion that extended far beyond their own time. 540 AD, the Roman Empire remained powerful, but important changes were underway. New religious ideas were spreading. Political tensions had exposed weaknesses within the imperial system, and future rulers would soon face challenges very different from those of earlier generations. The world of 40 AD was not the same world that had existed at the beginning of the decade. The years between 30 AD and 40 AD therefore became a period remembered not only for emperors and armies, but also for unanswered questions, political intrigue, and ideas whose influence would extend far into the future. As one decade ended, new rulers, new conflicts, and new mysteries were already emerging, preparing the stage for the next chapter of history.